ISP is excited to announce its second annual Images of Distinction competition. I'm with Carl Caylor. Thanks for joining us, Carl. How you doing, man?
I'm hanging in there.
Hey, before we get started on the jewelry type stuff, tell me a little bit about the kind of photography that you do and what you do for your business.
I'm mainly portrait photographer. So I photograph high school seniors, kids, families, things like that. Some headshots, and we do some commercial work as well, which is a really good thing this time of year because it's cold outside and nobody wants to have their portrait done when there's snow on the ground under their feet. So I dabble in a little bit of a lot of things.
Cool. Do you remember your first merit or loan image? Do you have any stories to go with that first one?
Actually, I do. Funny you should ask. We were living in a little tiny place. My wife said, "Hey, we need pictures on the wall." And I said, "Well, I suppose I could go take some pictures." And so I borrowed a camera from a friend because I didn't even have a camera at the time, and went out and photographed some landscapes. And thought, you know what, this is kind of fun. And about that time, I decided, you know what, I'm going to start doing this again as well. Started a business, joined PPA on my own that time instead of through a studio, and entered one of those landscapes as my first actual PPA entry on my own from my own studio. And it actually went loan, of all things. So that was my first PPA merit, was a landscape image, and it was the only landscape image I've ever entered since.
That's cool.
Because I'm a portrait photographer. So I enter portraits. So just the way it is. But I have a background in landscape. I have a background in journalism. I was going to be a photojournalist before a portrait photographer, but it was too butcher shop compared to surgical. And I couldn't handle the crudeness of what was going on back in the day of film and photojournalism. And so here I am in the portrait world.
Cool. Hey, what's how long have you been a judge?
Oh gosh, a long time. I don't know, 12, 13 years.
Okay, I know
I lost track. I don't know.
you've also been very deeply involved in IPC, which is the International Photographic Competition for PPA. Tell me a little
Yep,
bit about your
PPA.
journey
Yep.
in there.
Well, people that know me know that I speak my mind, whether it's a positive thing or a negative thing. When people ask me what I think, I'm going to tell them, and I don't sugarcoat things. And so I was shocked at several years ago when Rob Beam was incoming president of PPA. I got a call from him asking to be on the International Print Competition Committee. And I thought it was a joke. Actually, I thought somebody was pranking me. But I told him, I said, I'd be honored to do that, but I'm telling you, I'm going to tell you what I think. And I'm not sure people really want to hear that all the time. But I've been part of it ever since. So it's been several years. I've moved up in the ranks. I am now the vice chair of the International Print Competition Committee.
Cool. Why did you become a judge, Carl, to start with?
Somebody told me I had to. Again, I was just following rules. Actually, that's how I became a CPP as well. I was part of the print committee, committee at Wisconsin, and I was working print crew. And somebody came into the room and said, "Hey, you need to come take a test." And I'm like, "Oh God, really?" I thought it was because I was on print crew. But it was the CPP exam. He was a liaison for the CPP board in Wisconsin, and they needed more butts in the chairs. So we went and took a CPP exam with no preparation whatsoever. But that's how I got into the judging program too. Somebody told me this is what you do next, and so I did. I went to the school, to the class, and it was a great experience, and a lot of work to go through, and a lot, of time and energy to actually go through the practice places. And at that time, it was, there was no virtual stuff. So I traveled to a lot of places on my own dime, judging for free and speaking and doing programs while I was there. It's been wonderful. It's been probably one of the better experiences that I've had in this industry is being part of this group.
Okay, besides impact, which one of the 12 elements jumps into your head when I ask you which one you think is important?
Well, it's funny. One of my mentors told me that he's like, yeah, there's these 12 element things, but we can skip down to only 3. Light, composition, and emotion rank right up there all at the same to me. Because light can actually create composition. You use light to paint, but you paint emotion. So depending on how you use your light, you're telling the story that you're trying to create, whether it's sad or happy or inspirational or intense. So depending on what mood or emotion you want to get across, it depicts what kind of light you use. It depicts what composition you use, where your subject placement, your scene, your pose within that light. So those 3 things to me tie together all at the same. And to me, they're more important than impact, because that's what creates impact. is those three things working together.
Gotcha. If you had one piece of advice for new makers, or even us old guys that are still competing to do a better, to be better competitors, what would you have for them?
If you don't like the truth, don't ask.
Yeah.
I know it sounds really brutally honest, but you gotta have thick skin, because the thing with print competition is that it's an educational process, and to me, print competition is kind of like our professional grade of show and tell and showing off. And it's not about what can make money, but what can we do to show off in our industry with our peers. So kind of keep that in the back of your head when you're entering for higher purposes besides education.
Mark your calendars now and get ready for the ASP Images of Distinction.